Hi, I'm Justin Lang with iSquint.net. We're here at NAB in the Sea Changer booth in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm joined with Mr. Andrew Dunning from Landry Design.
Good to be here.
Thank you so much for having us, joining me here. So what is your current console of choice right now?
The Grand MA.
Grand MA 1 or 2?
Haven't run a 2 yet, so it'd have to be the 1.
You got to get on that thing.
I imagine I do.
Oh my goodness, that thing is unbelievable. I think the huge factor for me with the Grand MA 2 is, yes, it's taken 2 years to develop the Series 2 software, but it's still not there, but they're taking their time. They're getting everything exactly right before they release it into the public. You can certainly buy a 2 right now and start running 2 software, but the genius behind it was you may not know Grand MA 2 software or be comfortable with it since it's still in beta. Mm-hmm. It runs in comparability mode where it can run in Series 1.
You're right, that is genius. Other manufacturers have tried to introduce a new hardware platform without the software being soup.
I can name some very specific.
You couldn't go back and forth.
Yeah.
You couldn't do a show on the newer one and then translate to an older for next week. You were stuck on one platform.
Well, it's still the same truth here with the Grand MA 2. You know, if you wrote something in 2, you have to run it on 2. You can't take it back and forth between the two.
But you can start learning the new hardware layout with the old software.
Definitely. So what's your why Grand MA? What drew you to the Grand MA console or Grand MA, whatever you want to call it? You know, I call it GMA, whatever.
Right. It's the only thing that I have found that met all the needs that I had.
Specifics. What kind of needs?
I like the fact that multiple consoles can talk to each other.
Okay.
I like the fact that I can be teaching an LD who owns one, here's the looks that I want, and he might know the console better than I.
Okay.
But I can be sitting over to the side with another one, updating looks.
Definitely.
If cues get missed, if a palette is off, I can be working with that person
to help fix it, correct it.
Right. As I'm teaching lighting, that person might know the console very well, but these lighting concepts I can teach through having this satellite surface.
Now, speaking of networking consoles, that's the way we're going with almost any manufacturer out there, networking.
Right.
A console these days is basically a big freaking computer.
That's right.
With a custom key panel and, touchscreen or not touchscreen. Have you tried networking any of the other consoles out there? Because there's just so much control with networking, DMX over ArtNet and everything like that. Have you tried to...
All the networking I've done has been within the MA line.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to slam anybody else, it's just where I've been.
I don't, blame you. I was never a huge Grand MA fan. I thought it was okay, but I was never on it. And then I started playing with the 2 and started playing in Series 1, and I have to say it is right now my console of choice, if I ever get around to designing again.
But comparing that to the Vista, I don't want to get into a console war.
It's all right.
But the Grand MA is incredibly powerful, no question. But the learning curve is also incredibly steep.
Definitely.
Teaching a volunteer to run it is difficult.
Yeah.
The Vista can be taught to a volunteer very quickly, very easily.
Yeah.
So I like the power of both, but I can appreciate how easy it is for a volunteer, or anybody for that matter, to learn the Vista.
Awesome.
I still prefer the other, but it's just because that's what my background is.
Education? No.
My background is
the Grand MA.
I want to know command line. I want to know.
Yeah.
I like the more tactile. I grew up in a DOS world.
Now, do you use the visual? You said you use visualization through Vectorworks and ESP. Have you ever tried the Grand MA visualization?
I have not.
Oh, it's free. All you got to do is provide a computer, connect to the network, and just visualize away right out of the console.
The appeal for me is I do all my design work in Vectorworks.
Okay.
And so there's a natural link to Vision.
Of course. Well,
so I'm not having to redraw the thing twice.
Well, this is the beauty part. From what I understand is you can go do your design in 3D rendering in Vectorworks, export it as 3D Max, I think it is.
Okay.
Into Grand MA.
The visualization. I just learned something.
Definitely, man. I haven't had a chance to try it. First of all, time. 2, well, I've got the software, and then 3, a freaking console to try it out on.
Right.
Or, well, you can use any computer, but.
Right.
So,
Grandma PC?
yeah. Well, I'm a Mac guy, so I hate using Parallels or. What? What's wrong with Mac?
It goes back to what I was saying about the Vista Grandma comparison.
Sure.
I grew up in a DOS world. That's the way that I think.
Definitely.
And I can appreciate the appeal of the Mac.
Okay.
It's not something I totally get because it isn't in the world where I grew up.
Well,
it's taken me a bit to understand the change.
It's funny. It was everybody in where I grew up. Our school system in the library was Apple IIe's. You know, so we learned Oregon Trails, stupid little games through the 2E, and all of a sudden we got pushed into Windows, and I'd been a Windows person for years. 6 years ago, I made this leap and bound to Apple and never looked back. And I hate trying to convert people. I actually love doing it, but I hate doing it. And I don't want to try and convert you here on camera, but you gotta look at the back end. The stability of Apple with being based on Unix or Linux. It's very, very solid. I don't have to worry about the viruses and all that stuff that you do with the PC. I'm sure you purchased Norton antivirus or an antivirus software at some point. 6 years, I haven't had to do that.
Yeah. At the same time, like the CAD software I use is dual platform, so I follow conversations with users of both platforms.
Yeah.
Both platforms have crashing issues.
Yeah.
Both platforms have limitations. This is just the one that makes sense to me.
Okay. Well,
I'm not saying you need to do it or not. It's just what makes sense to me.
What works best for you. But they've got the Apple iPad.
Right. Have you seen that on Will It Blend?
Shut up! I'm not blending my freaking iPod or iPad. That thing.
WillItBlend.com. They blend an iPad. It's great.
It's sacrilegious. I'm not doing it. I don't want to see it. I'm just flabbergasted by everything here at NAB. It's been a fantastic time here doing interviews in the Seed Changer booth, talking to great lighting designers. It's been an awesome time. Thank you so much for
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll be back later. More from the Seed Changer booth here at NAB.